Alright, hello there YouTubers. It's your girl Earlene Robinson again. Yep, I'm coming at you live with another video. I want you guys to check this out. This is kind of like part 2 of the Holocaust videos that I've been dropping down. Hitler's Holocaust is what it is. I've been watching some of these things and it moved me to go ahead and drop some videos concerning this. I'm very, very concerned about this Holocaust. A lot of people were saying back in the past that it never happened. Oh yes it did. Something happened. Anyway, I'm gonna drop this video, y'all. We're not gonna elaborate, okay? I'm not gonna talk about it much here on my YouTube channel. What I like to do is to drop the videos and then put the number out, the phone number to the radio station, so you guys could come on and let's talk about it. When you get finished checking out these videos, if it's one that you want to talk about, you call the show. 516-387-1496 is the number to the Earlene Show 2017 Wise Talk. Again, the reason why it moved me to drop this video is because I'm thinking while we all are just so conveniently occupied on YouTube, social media and stuff like that, I just don't understand why nobody is covering this. Nobody is too much talking about it. So, but I would like to, because I'm moved by it. The thing about it is the stuff that happened to these people, you know, it's real, and I want you guys to go check it out. Check out some of the survivors of Hitler's Holocaust and pull up some of them videos and watch them and tell me, and I want you to come back and tell me what you think, okay? And call me on the show. Let's talk about it. It's going to be a topic when you call. All right? So check this video out, and I want you to tell me what you think.
No matter how terrible it is, that we want to live another day.
Irene Fogel-Weiss is about to speak to an auditorium filled with students at Woodson High School. It's not the first time she's done this. As a former teacher, she has spent a lot of time talking to students. But these days, her lessons for students are quite personal. She's sharing her own story, the story of how she survived the Holocaust.
What made you decide to kind of talk about it in two presentations?
Well, I couldn't talk about it for at least 25 years. I really was sweaty palms and pounding heart. There was no way. You know, you can tell your parents were killed, you can tell your parents died, but you can't tell that you arrived to a place where the reason for being there was to be killed, and all the rest that went with it. So, and I didn't talk about it for a long, long time. But that horrific time in history should be passed on to the next generation. So that is why I'm speaking, to make sure that people know it and think about it and analyze it and learn from it.
Irene's story begins in a small town in Czechoslovakia in the 1930s. She lived there with her father, who ran a lumber yard, her mother, who stayed at home with the children, an older brother, an older sister, and 3 younger siblings. During her childhood, Irene and her family lived a very normal small-town life, until the Nazi Party began to take hold across Eastern Europe. In 1939, the Germans annexed part of Czechoslovakia. The Hungarian government followed suit and annexed the area where Irene lived. Hungary had already embraced many of the Nazi beliefs. Suddenly, Irene's Jewish family had become subjects of a very anti-Jewish government. They were Hungarian Jews. Almost immediately, things in Irene's town began to change.
Hungary joined alliance with Germany, and so everything became Nazified. But I did go to Hungarian middle school by this time, and that's when I was 12, 13, where we had to wear a yellow star on our clothes. And so, that was like a target, and certainly wasn't safe. It was a small farming town, and sixth grade was the end of education. So our parents were very keen on sending us for more education. So as we got to be past sixth grade, by this time I was the third one who was sent to the big city to commute. And I actually went on the train, which was most unusual. It was a one-track railroad town, and sometimes I was the only one getting on and off. And the farmers went by horse and buggy, wherever they needed to go. And so I was traveling for a while where the train was full of soldiers and crowded and all that. But with the yellow star, I remember for a while I would pin the star on instead of just sewing it on permanently. I pin it on and walk to the train because I wasn't afraid in my town with it. When the train came, I took it off and put it in my pocket. And then I would come in the big city where I had to walk from the train to the school. I didn't put it on because there I had no protection whatsoever, But this only lasted a few trips because once they stopped, they threw us out from school. There was no reason to go anymore. But it was a terrible thing because you were marked. You were a target.
The Nazis were slowly separating Jews from society, forcing them to wear a yellow star, banning them from schools, and using propaganda to portray them as the source of society's problems. Unfortunately, too many people were falling for it.
The farmers' young sons who suddenly had power, all they had to do is put on a swastika band on their arm, and they were like deputized. They were the law. And from other towns, these young guys would roam around and go to do harm to Jews. They'd pull out an older man from the family. They'd think it's a good sport. They'd cut his beard, and anything like that was permitted, and the police would stand by. And nobody felt secure anymore. One day I was coming home from visiting my grandparents with my father. I was on the train, and the train was a 5-minute ride, and these young hoodlums. See, my father had a beard, a small, trimmed beard, but beards were not popular. I mean, that wasn't, only Jewish men had beards. Today, that's different. And so on the train, they came up to him, a couple of them, and they started talking to each other like, well, what shall we do? Wouldn't it be fun to throw him off the train? And laughing and carrying on, beginning to poke him and things like that. Nobody in the train said anything. Nobody lifted a finger or a voice. I was like 12 and a half or something, and terrified. But looking out the window, I could tell we're approaching home, and that's exactly what saved my father. They were ready to throw him off.
Nazi practices included a systematic removal of all Jewish influences. Jewish businesses were marked and patrons were discouraged from entering. Irene's father lost his lumber business because it was seized outright by the Nazis with no compensation. Jewish citizens were suddenly forced to prove their citizenship in Hungary. To prove it, they had to have Nazi-approved documents, and the Nazis made those documents difficult to obtain. Jews who couldn't prove Hungarian citizenship were deported.
Even though my parents and grandparents were citizens, they put in every kind of handicap possible. My father actually spent a lot of time trying to acquire that by going from office to office and paying for everything. And eventually he got the paper. I remember they were almost celebrating. He came back with that paper, okay, we're safe. Every step of the way, from the time this happened until we ended up in Auschwitz, we always rationalized for the better. Always thinking that, okay, it's getting worse, but we see some light. People just can't accept the worst. And so here we had this paper, and we're safe. Except they'll make don't show yourself in the street, don't um, get involved with the law in any way because they won't protect you. Nobody was safe. Even school kids, the younger ones that in high school say, I have my rights. You hear that in classroom. Well, what if you don't have any rights? And the police are on the other side. They don't protect you. They stand by while people do you harm or take out anything from your home. It's a very difficult concept that we were guilty of something. We were guilty of being alive just by virtue of being a Jew. You were hunted.
The German laws enforced in Hungary were only the beginning of the persecution of Hungarian Jews. The Nazis had created a comprehensive plan called the Final Solution of the Jewish Question. It was Nazi code for the complete annihilation of the Jewish people. By 1941, Hitler's SS and police forces had become mobile killing units, initiating the first large-scale murder of Jewish citizens, both by firing squad and by mobile gas vans. In 1942, concerned that their existing killing methods were not efficient enough, the Nazis had completed 3 extermination camps in Poland.
In April 1944, having already exterminated millions of Jews throughout Europe, the Nazis turned their attention to the last Jewish community that remained, 500,000 Jews in Hungary. The war was almost over, but the final solution was proceeding with speed and efficiency. We had heard rumors of mass shootings of Jews in Nazi-occupied Poland and in the Ukraine. Then in the spring of 1944, local officials announced that the Jews in my town had 24 hours to get out of their homes with 1 suitcase each and assemble at the town hall. We had no idea what would happen to us. A delegation made up of the mayor, police chief, and my school principal arrived at our house demanding that we hand over money and valuables. People always say, rationalize, okay, so we give them some money and jewelry and okay, just leave us alone type of thing. And so I know my father gave them some stuff, but he didn't have, by this time, he never had a lot, he had 6 children to support and we were okay, but, but that was after it was announced in the town that the next day all the Jewish families should report at a gathering place in the town. So we already knew that we're leaving, although we didn't know where. Nobody ever said where. So, it was, everything was very scary, and for parents with 6 children, it must have been extremely terrifying if you don't know what will happen to your children and you can't protect them. After complying, we left the house. My father closed the gate behind us so that our dog wouldn't follow us. Along with about 100 other Jewish people in our town, my family was taken to an abandoned brick factory some miles away. There we joined thousands of Jewish families from neighboring towns. We were kept there almost a month in overcrowded conditions. Our food supply from home was quickly gone, and we became dependent on the daily soup ration.
Nazis ordered Jews to gather in a common area, leaving the bulk of their possessions behind for Nazi confiscation. The holding areas became known as ghettos. Most people who were sent to the ghettos had no idea that it was a staging area for transport to extermination camps. Irene was held in the Hungarian ghetto of Munkacs. There she endured many hardships and humiliations. Little did she know that it was the least of what she would experience in the coming year.
There were thousands of people there. They were calling it a ghetto, and there was no sanitation, and so they decided that, lice and that sort of thing, they had a legitimate kind of health reason. But the way they put it is they made an announcement and said, all girls under 16 report to have their head shaved or their fathers will be punished. we were not treated like human beings. They could have said it's a sanitary thing, it's to prevent, but I was so terrified, I ran to the.
Okay, guys, y'all see what I'm talking about? If you listen to her, she's a surviving Holocaust victim. She know what went down in them days. See, you could, if you're gonna exterminate a whole country of people, you're not gonna get it all. Somebody is gonna be left to tell something, or something gonna be left behind that, people are gonna know, because the truth can't never be covered up. The truth will never be covered up. That's also in the Bible. Y'all come on this show and let's talk about it, okay? Because where I see, ladies and gentlemen, what I see today is like we're headed back to something like this. They keep talking about how Hillary Clinton, the Clintons and the Obamas sold out all of United States uranium. So without uranium, uranium covers a lot of territory. There should be nobody sick here. It shouldn't be not one person sick here in America. As much resources that we have and how rich the country was. But now I'm believing, like I said, everybody done packed up and left. Our elected officials, they're gone. Whatever videos y'all see, I believe they're making them from someplace else. And then this is some hush-hush thing once again, and they're quiet about it. Because if we had a government, why are they letting so much go? Why? Why do Trump and Barack Obama and the Bushes, on back even further than that, why do they let stuff go? They don't care about the country no more. A bunch of people think that that Trump do. I don't know. I think Trump gone as well. They will come and he will come, your deceiver will come as with sheep clothing, pretending to be somebody that they're not. Now we already know Obama did it. So, hey, y'all come on the show and let's hear your opinion, okay? Put your opinion where it counts at, where people need to hear it, all right? Look up the videos first so we can have something to talk about when you come on the show. 516-387-1496 is the number for all my guests to be my guest on my talk show. We can talk about it, get it out there in the open. I love you guys. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and stay prayed up. God is in charge. Remember that. Love you guys. Bye now.